Welcome to Big Breaking News of America. A detailed report on American women murdered by Tinder dates. Introduction. The rise of online dating platforms like Tinder has transformed how people connect, offering convenience and access to potential partners. However, these platforms also carry risks, as anonymity and limited vetting can expose users to dangerous individuals. Tragically, some American women have lost their lives after meeting men through Tinder, with their dates turning into murderers. This report examines two prominent cases: Sydney Loofe in Nebraska and Samantha Stewart in New York, detailing the events, investigations, legal proceedings, and broader implications. It also explores the societal context, psychological factors, and safety measures to prevent such tragedies. Case 1. The murder of Sydney Loofe. Background. Sydney Loofe, a 24-year-old cashier at a Menards hardware store in Lincoln, Nebraska, was known for her positive outlook despite struggles with depression. Her tattoo, "Everything will be wonderful someday," reflected her hopefulness. On November 15, 2017, Sydney shared a Snapchat selfie captioned, "Ready for my date," with a heart-eyed emoji, excited about a second date with someone she met on Tinder, who she believed was a woman named Audrey. Unbeknownst to her, Audrey was Bailey Boswell, a 24-year-old woman working with her 52-year-old boyfriend, Aubrey Trail, to lure victims into a deadly trap. Sydney had met Boswell on Tinder, and after exchanging about 140 messages, they went on a first date on November 14, 2017, which seemed uneventful. They planned a second date for the next day. Sydney's excitement was palpable, but her family, living 3 hours away, would soon face unimaginable grief when she disappeared. The crime. On November 15, 2017, Sydney arrived at the apartment Boswell shared with Trail in Wilbur, Nebraska. 24 minutes after her arrival, her phone was turned off, a chilling indicator of what transpired. Prosecutors later revealed that Boswell and Trail had planned to kill someone before targeting Sydney, selecting her partly because she lived 150 miles from her family, hoping her disappearance would go unnoticed longer. Surveillance footage showed the couple purchasing tools and bleach hours before the date, indicating premeditation. Sydney was strangled, likely by Trail, and her body was dismembered into 14 pieces. The couple mutilated her remains, with some knife marks around her tattoo suggesting gratuitous violence beyond dismemberment. Her remains were stuffed into garbage bags and scattered in a field in Edgar, Nebraska, discovered weeks later on December 4, 2017, after an extensive FBI-led search. The perpetrators. Aubrey Trail and Bailey Boswell were a disturbing couple with a history of dark fantasies. Trail, a con artist, had met Boswell through her online massage ad. They shared interests in fraud, defrauding antiques dealers, and engaging in group sex with women recruited via Tinder. Trail claimed to be a vampire with supernatural powers, while Boswell was dubbed the Queen Witch. They ran a sex cult, luring women with promises of an allowance in exchange for sexual acts and participation in their scams. 3 women testified about the cult's strict rules, punishments like choking, and Trail's claims that killing people granted powers. Trail and Boswell's depravity extended to planning murders for sexual gratification. They targeted Sydney after scouting her on social media, exploiting Tinder's accessibility to lure her. Their actions reflected a calculated, predatory approach, with Boswell posing as a romantic interest to gain Sydney's trust. Investigation and arrest. Sydney was reported missing on November 16, 2017, when she failed to show up for work. Her family's concern prompted a swift police response. Investigators traced her last known contact to Boswell, whose Tinder profile and phone records linked her to Trail. A Facebook video posted by the couple, claiming innocence and stating they had dropped Sydney off after doing drugs, was quickly deleted but raised suspicions. Surveillance footage, purchase records, and witness testimonies built a strong case. The couple was arrested in June 2018 in Branson, Missouri, on unrelated fraud charges, but evidence tied them to Sydney's murder. The discovery of her dismembered remains in December 2017 confirmed the horrific nature of the crime. Trial and conviction. Aubrey Traill's trial began in 2019. He initially claimed Sydney's death was accidental, alleging she died during a consensual sex party involving choking with an electrical cord. However, his story shifted multiple times, and prosecutors debunked it with evidence of premeditation, including the tools and bleach purchases. During the trial, Traill dramatically slashed his throat in court, screaming, "Bailey is innocent and I curse you all." He survived and was convicted of first-degree murder, criminal conspiracy to commit murder, and improper disposal of human remains. In 2021, a three-judge panel sentenced him to death, citing the cold, calculated planning and his lack of remorse. Bailey Boswell's trial followed in 2020. Prosecutors presented evidence of her active role in luring Sydney and participating in the murder. Testimonies from cult members and the gruesome photos of Sydney's remains underscored the crime's brutality. Boswell was convicted of the same charges as Traill. Her appeal, arguing that the photos prejudiced the jury, was rejected by the Nebraska Supreme Court in 2024. She received life in prison without parole, as the panel couldn't unanimously agree on exceptional depravity for a death sentence. Impact. Sydney Loofe's murder shocked Nebraska and sparked national conversations about online dating safety. Her family, devastated, found some solace in the convictions but emphasized the senseless loss. The case highlighted the dangers of predatory couples and the need for vigilance on dating apps. It also exposed the psychological manipulation within cults, as Traill and Boswell exploited vulnerable women for their perverse fantasies. Case 2. The murder of Samantha Stewart. Background. Samantha Stewart, a 29-year-old registered nurse at North Shore University Hospital in Queens, New York, was described as compassionate and dedicated. In July 2018, she matched with Daniel Drayton, a 27-year-old man from New Haven, Connecticut, on Tinder. Their date seemed promising, but it ended in horror. Drayton, later revealed as a serial predator, had a history of violence and was on bail for another assault case when he met Stewart. The crime. On July 17, 2018, after their Tinder date, Samantha invited Drayton to her apartment in Jamaica, Queens. There, he beat and strangled her, causing trauma to her neck and head. Disturbingly, prosecutors alleged Drayton engaged in sexual conduct with her body after her death. The next day, her brother found her lifeless body, prompting a police investigation. Drayton fled, taking Stewart's credit cards and using one to book a flight to California. The perpetrator. Daniel Drayton was a repeat offender with a pattern of targeting women through dating apps. At the time of Stewart's murder, he was free on $2,000 bail for attacking his ex-girlfriend in Nassau County. He had also been linked to an unrelated rape case in Brooklyn. Drayton claimed involvement in up to 7 other murders, including 3 in New York, though no evidence corroborated this. His predatory behavior exploited Tinder's accessibility, allowing him to charm victims before revealing his violent nature. Investigation and arrest. The NYPD launched a large-scale investigation, diving into Drayton's Tinder activity and other dating app interactions. His use of Stewart's credit card led police to track him to Los Angeles, where he was arrested on July 24, 2018, in a North Hollywood hotel room. At the time, he was holding another woman hostage, whom he had sexually assaulted. This swift arrest prevented further violence. Drayton was extradited to New York to face charges. Trial and conviction.
In April 2022, Drayton was charged with an 18-count indictment, including murder, sexual misconduct, grand larceny, and other crimes related to Stewart's death. He also faced charges of attempted murder, rape, and false imprisonment for the Los Angeles victim. Drayton pleaded not guilty, but the evidence his flight, credit card theft, and pattern of violence was overwhelming. As of the latest updates, his case remains ongoing, with extradition and trial delays complicating proceedings. However, the Queens District Attorney's Office emphasized the shocking strangulation death and their commitment to justice. Impact. Samantha Stewart's murder underscored the risks of meeting strangers from dating apps, particularly for women. Her death, combined with Drayton's other crimes, fueled public outrage over how predators exploit platforms like Tinder. It also raised questions about bail decisions, as Drayton's prior release enabled his spree. Stewart's family and community mourned the loss of a caring nurse, amplifying calls for stricter safety measures on dating apps. Societal context and psychological factors. The rise of online dating. Tinder, launched in 2012, revolutionized dating with its swipe-based interface, boasting millions of users by 2018. Its accessibility and anonymity, however, make it a hunting ground for predators. Both cases highlight how perpetrators use Tinder to target vulnerable women, exploiting the app's minimal verification processes. The loofe case involved a calculated duo, while Drayton's serial predation relied on charm and deception. Psychological profiles of perpetrators. Trail and Boswell. Their actions suggest a shared psychopathy, marked by a lack of empathy and thrill-seeking behavior. Trail's cult leadership and Boswell's complicity reflect a dynamic where power and control fueled their crimes. Their fantasies of gaining powers through murder indicate delusional and sadistic tendencies. Drayton. His pattern of violence, including strangulation and sexual assault, points to a predatory personality with possible narcissistic or antisocial traits. His ability to charm victims contrasts with his brutal actions, a hallmark of serial offenders. Victim vulnerability. Sydney Loofe and Samantha Stewart were young women seeking connection, unaware of the dangers lurking behind their matches. Loofe's trust in Boswell's persona and Stewart's invitation to her home reflect common dating behaviors that predators exploit. Women, statistically more at risk of violence, face heightened dangers in online dating scenarios where vetting is limited. Legal and systemic implications. Legal outcomes. Loofe case, the convictions of Trail, death penalty, and Boswell, life without parole, reflect the severity of their crimes. The Nebraska Supreme Court's upholding of Boswell's conviction in 2024 reinforces the judiciary's stance against such heinous acts. Stewart case. Drayton's ongoing case highlights challenges in prosecuting serial offenders across jurisdictions. His extradition and multiple charges complicate the process, but the indictment signals a commitment to accountability. Systemic issues. Both cases expose flaws in the criminal justice system. Trail and Boswell's prior fraud activities went unchecked, allowing them to escalate to murder. Drayton's release on bail despite a violent history enabled his spree. These gaps underscore the need for better monitoring of repeat offenders and coordination between law enforcement agencies. Dating app accountability. Tinder's role in these tragedies has sparked debates about platform responsibility. While Tinder cooperated with investigations, its minimal verification processes relying on user-reported data leave room for deception. Calls for mandatory background checks or enhanced safety features have grown, though implementation remains contentious due to privacy concerns. Broader societal impact. Public awareness. The murders of Sydney Loofe and Samantha Stewart received widespread media coverage, raising awareness about online dating risks. Campaigns like Swipe Safely and safety guides from organizations like RAIN have gained traction, urging users to verify identities, meet in public, and share plans with trusted contacts. Community response. In Nebraska, Sydney's death prompted vigils and community support for her family, highlighting the ripple effect of such tragedies. In New York, Stewart's nursing colleagues advocated for stronger victim protections, emphasizing her selflessness. These responses reflect a collective demand for change. Policy discussions. The cases have fueled policy debates on dating app regulations and violence against women. Proposals include stricter bail conditions for violent offenders, enhanced app safety protocols, and public education on digital literacy. However, balancing safety with user autonomy remains a challenge. Safety measures for online dating. To prevent future tragedies, users and platforms can adopt the following measures. Verify identities. Use video calls or reverse image searches to confirm a match's identity. Meet in public. Choose well-lit, populated locations for initial meetings and avoid private spaces. Share plans. Inform a friend or family member about date details, including the match's profile and meeting location. Trust instincts. Exit situations that feel unsafe, as the woman who dated Grace Mullane's killer did when she sensed unease. Platform enhancements. Dating apps should implement optional background checks, flagging systems for suspicious behavior, and safety pop-ups. Education. Public campaigns can teach users to recognize red flags, such as excessive persistence or inconsistencies in stories, as seen in both cases. Critical examination of narratives. While media often portrays these cases as cautionary tales, they sometimes oversimplify the dynamics, focusing on victim behavior rather than systemic failures. The narrative of online dating dangers can overshadow the need for platform accountability and judicial reforms. Moreover, sensationalized coverage risks victim blaming, ignoring how predators exploit trust. A balanced approach emphasizes empowerment through safety education and systemic change over fear-mongering. Conclusion. The murders of Sydney Loofe and Samantha Stewart are stark reminders of the risks embedded in online dating, particularly for women. Sydney's horrific death at the hands of a predatory couple and Samantha's strangulation by a serial offender highlight the need for vigilance, systemic reforms, and platform accountability. While their families continue to grieve, their cases have spurred action, from legal convictions to public awareness campaigns. By learning from these tragedies through enhanced safety measures, critical scrutiny of judicial gaps, and empowered decision-making, society can honor their memories and prevent future losses. Online dating offers connection, but it demands caution, as the line between a match and a murderer can be perilously thin. Thank you for watching Big Breaking News of America. Make sure to subscribe and turn on the bell icon for more news updates. Share our channel with your friends and family members. Leave a like for more videos and express your thoughts under comment section.